Are the Miami Dolphins the biggest NFL puzzle in 2025? Stay tuned and you'll find out. All right, Fin Nation, welcome back to the next episode of Finstock with Rolling with Carlos. I appreciate your support. And the ones that are already subscribed, I appreciate you found me and found the channel and have subscribed. Today we're going to go ahead and cover two ESPN analysts that posed the question, are the Miami Dolphins the biggest NFL puzzle going into 2025? And it's a reaction video. I'm going to react to their video. You're not going to see the video. You're just going to hear the audio. And I'll pause and give my opinion as we go.
Miami Dolphins are probably the hardest team to talk about in the NFL at this point, because I don't know what the plan is. I would guess our boss Peter King used to always say this: if we can give Mike McDaniel sodium pentothal and ask him this question, right? But is this really who he wants at quarterback?
Sodium pentothal, I believe, is something like to get him to tell the truth, because most coaches speak coach speak and don't never really tell the truth. They beat around the bush
going into the season. And I'm sick of the vitriol that comes from people asking this question. It's a legitimate question. You're still not making any meaningful upgrades to this scheme that, and I think that Mike McDaniel is probably one of the most brilliant play callers in the NFL, but there's no meaningful difference to your.
Mike McDaniel knows how to call plays, but he doesn't know how to make halftime adjustments. That's where I disagree with him, in the sense that he's brilliant, but he doesn't know how to adapt and change to confuse the defense. We still haven't seen that in year 3 going into year 4.
Your offense, year in and year out, it just keeps breaking down.
I'm going to ask you.
The offense is not breaking down. The offense is predictable, and that's what happens. If you're depending on the run to do the pass, and you're very predictable in the play calls, when you call, let's say it's 3rd and 10, and you're going to call a pass, and you know that the running game is doing good, and you call a pass, or you call a pass when it's supposed to be a running down, and the patterns become predictable throughout the games and throughout the seasons, then people get on to know your system, and now you call plays. He just hasn't learned to adapt yet. Mike McDaniel, in my opinion, is a good coach, not a great coach.
I'm going to ask you a pointed question that I think will tell you a lot about your own feelings on the team. If someone comes and offers a first-round pick for Tyreek Hill, do you trade him?
Yes.
Of course you would trade him, because this team it's not built to win right now. There's still holes. There's question marks on the offensive line. You don't have starting cornerbacks. So, of course, you've got good pieces for the future, but this is not a team built to win right now. Even though Tyreek says they can win, but to me, it's a mediocre team. Let's continue.
And I think that tells you everything about where that team is.
And these people from Sports Illustrated are Albert Breer and Connor Orr that we're listening to.
Yeah, right. Like, I just think I feel like they've gotten to the point now where it's just I think we know what they are with this core of players, and I think they've subtly started to tell us, in peeling off some pieces, that they need to reset, and it's time for them to kind of rebuild in some areas. I think we all assume Jaylen Ramsey probably won't be on the team in September.
This video is a month old, guys, so this was recorded before the Jaylen Ramsey trade.
Obviously Jalen Phillips has been hurt.
Jalen Ramsey's certainly assuming it. He's already said goodbye to the franchise. Which is a tough move,
Yeah, I mean, where are you at with Bradley Chubb? I think obviously like Chop Robinson is the future with the edge. Guys, they've invested a lot in those positions, and the older two guys have been really beat up. Teron Armstead is gone, and you're rolling the dice with a second round pick and Patrick Paul at that position. This feels like they're subtly, maybe even not so subtly, like resetting. And so, like, I think for them, like with me, the Dolphins fans aren't going to like to hear this, but for me, like, I think like feeling good about this team is almost doesn't tie to wins and losses. It almost ties more to how do you feel about the young players on your team as a group to build around. And so it's like, I look at the guys that will be there in 2 years. Like, I think this is usually the way you want to think about it when a team's in a spot. Like, how many of these players are going to be there in 2027? Jaylen Waddle, Chop Robinson, and Kenneth Grant's their first-round picks this year, so you assume he's going to be there. How many other guys do you look at on that team and you say, yeah, like that guy's going to be there in 2 years?
Breer is saying it's basically a soft reset without them saying it's a soft reset.
I think if I'm a Dolphins fan, and so just so everyone knows, I do read the comments on our YouTube channel, and I'm not going to say the verb that Albert and I are accused of doing to Mike McDaniel. I'm not going to say it. It's gross.
I love Mike McDaniel. I think he's he's a really, really good head coach.
I do too.
No, I'm not going to. Like, is there no addendum to that?
Really, really good head coach. I disagree. He's a good coach. He's a good head coach, but really, really good. He doesn't know how to make halftime adjustments, and his play calling becomes too predictable, and sometimes he overthinks. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
I think he's a really good head coach.
Period.
So if you're making this us against McDaniel, you're probably barking up the wrong tree.
No. We're accused of being too pro McDaniel.
Oh,
to the point where
by Dolphins fans?
By Dolphins fans, to the point that we're maybe not Dolphins fans, but maybe just people on YouTube.
We're underrating the roster.
I don't know, but whatever it is, we're accused of doing something to Mike McDaniel via the YouTube comments that I wouldn't do. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? And so, if this is your belief, then maybe best to skip ahead for 5 minutes. But if I'm a Dolphins fan, I come out of this year happy because again, Mike McDaniel's extended through the 28th season, and either
again, Mr. Connor Orr, I guess you don't remember. Stephen Ross has extended coaches the same year, and they've been fired. He extended Sperano that same year. Tried to court Jim Harbaugh. It didn't work. Extended Sperano, and then after the season was over, he fired Sperano. So Mike McDaniel having a contract till 2028 doesn't mean crap.
Chris Greer has a come to Jesus moment here, or McDaniel gets to pick someone who's going to be more of a funnel to the kind of personnel.
Again, I'm Mr. Connor Orr and Fins Nation, Fins Talk family. If the Dolphins don't do well, in my opinion, Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are both gone. I don't care that Mike McDaniel's under contract. I really think that Ross is getting older. He's very old. He's up there in age. And if he doesn't see results, even though Mike McDaniel went to the playoffs the first 2 seasons, missed out last season, this is year 4. If he misses out again, I believe Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer are both gone. Let me know your thoughts down below.
That he likes on the roster, and that includes the quarterback position. Like, I think that McDaniel needs his own John Lynch in this scenario, right? And he kind of needs it.
And let me know if you agree with Mr. Connor or Mr. Albert Breer, and you disagree with me. Let me know down in the comments. But I disagree with what he's saying now about Greer being gone and McDaniel still being under contract and being able to pick the next GM. I think if we have a bad season, both Greer and McDaniel are gone.
Is everybody rowing in the same direction in a personnel sense for that?
Yeah, I think it's you have to evaluate all of that. You have to evaluate, are we, like, in the time that McDaniel's been here, are we putting enough players that fit what he wants on the roster, and is the synergy where it needs to be? And is Chris Greer really serving the coaching staff that way? I think that's a fair and open question. That's why there have been rumors about his own job security.
They're having this conversation, but like I said, if we have a bad year, both of them should be gone, in my opinion. Again, leave me your thoughts down below.
Over the last couple of years.
Let me ask it this way, right? Okay.
Yeah.
He has been he's been the GM of this team since 2016.
Okay, yeah, but he really became the guy, I think, in 19. Wasn't that what it was?
Okay. So you can say
Tannenbaum was there.
Tannenbaum was there.
Right. And then I think when Flores became the head coach, he became the top personnel guy. So that would have been 19, I believe.
Okay. Since 19. Do you have an answer? Do you have a long-term answer at your ankle or your anchor tackle position? The answer is no.
We have
not
no
right
idea.
now, at least. We don't know.
The whole offensive line has questions. So he's right about that.
Do you have a long-term answer at number one corner? You're about to trade him, so.
No, they traded Jaylen Ramsey, so they don't even have a number one or number two corner.
No. Do you have an identity? I guess, kind of, you know.
You do have a number one receiver who he drafted, Jaylen Waddle, long-term. You do have a number one pass rusher. It looks like we'll see.
And Chop Robinson, yes,
we'll see,
good.
but it looks like it's trending that way.
Do you feel secure at the quarterback position?
And that's the big question. And that they just
they're not secure because if he has another injury, Tua's gone also, and Tua's always had health questions and health issues, not only in the NFL a lot, but during high school, and then he had the major hip injury, which I've said many times. In my opinion, he should have not been drafted by Chris Greer and company at number 5 when he was drafted.
Just leaned into him and paid him, and I was there the night that Tua had the concussion, and it's hard for me to look at it any other way than like this thing still seems tenuous, like in where they are and where they're going forward. And, like what that contract says, like I'm still not sure. I mean, I don't know, like you put Zach Wilson on that roster, and I know Zach had a really good year in Denver last year, quietly, like behind the scenes, they really liked him. And obviously they've got their quarterback of the future, but I think the people in Denver would tell you, like, there's some hope for Zach Wilson. That's a guy who is talented enough to be the second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to go through some sort of career renaissance, but when you line the guys up in training camp, like Tua might not be the most talented guy. You know what I mean? Like, so
agree, but Wilson hasn't been able to develop his skills, and our quarterback coach said that he needed to be rebuilt from the ground up. And Tua knows how to run Mike McDaniel's offense. Now, if the scenario were that Chris Greer would get fired and Mike McDaniel stick around, then yeah, I would give Mike McDaniel the opportunity to pick a quarterback, because he came into this situation being forced to have Tua and being forced with a defensive coordinator that he had to fire get rid of a year after his first year. So, understandably so, but like I said, if we do bad, I think Greer and Mike McDaniel are gone.
That part of it, I think, is really interesting too. Are they looking for an escape hatch? Because instead of adding, and I think like you can sometimes kind of go on these things and look at it and say, all right, like what does this acquisition say to me? And they could have put someone in that room with Tua as like a resource to him, like the Josh McCown type. And I don't know who that would have been, but they could have found somebody to put in that room. Case Keenum,
Right.
Like Case Keenum to me is like he's the guy who you look at and say, like, yeah, like you put him in the room and then you're giving your young quarterback a chance to continue to study and to work with your guys, even off hours. You know what I mean? Like, can you find and instead of doing that, they put a guy who's trying to save his career, who's really talented in the room with them.
Right.
I don't know. I look at little things like that, and I think that's at least very interesting to me. You know,
it's hard because if you're if we're there, and again, okay, so they have. Let's see what the high pick on the offensive line does from 2024. You have Patrick Paul. Like, let's give him a little bit of room. You have a right guard that you took in the second round of the 25 draft. You clearly are trying to get more physical. You take Kenneth Grant in the first round here. Is that enough, right? Is that enough to at least get you to the point where
they have future pieces, but I don't know if they're going to compete?
Because again, Dolphins fans were frustrated about 9-8, 9-8, 9-8, 8-9. I would take 9-8 in a heartbeat for this team this year. I mean, that would represent a resounding success for me.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think. I mean, I don't think like looking at it and like their schedule is relatively manageable. I would say
9-8. Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are fired for me.
Like, you do have a chance to build up a little bit of momentum there. But it's hard for me to look at this and not say, you know what, just looking at their depth chart and looking at where they're at, and looking at the players they're offloading. So much is going to come down to me to like how they feel about like their young core going forward, and is there something there to build around coming out of the year? Because their actions tell us this is a reset year for them, and I
can agree with that. It seems like a soft reset to me right now, but we'll see what happens.
I like the last few years, they've been the second best team.
Also, don't forget to remember to leave me your thoughts down below in the comments.
The division, I don't really think they're the second most talented roster in the division right now.
Yeah, I mean, God, if they come out of this year and this is going to sound insane, but if they win 4 games, like, okay, so let me ask you this: if you're a Dolphins fan, would you rather 9-8 or 8-9 again this year? Maybe you make the playoffs, maybe you don't make the playoffs. You're still not sure about the quarterback position. Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle are still banged up down the stretch.
For sure.
Would you take that, or would you take math is hard for me, 4-13, but Kenneth Grant is a beast, and
Chop Robinson has 13 sacks.
Robinson has 13
and Patrick
sacks.
Paul is entrenched at left tackle and looks like he can really play.
Now, granted, if that's the case, then you probably would win more than 4 games, but it's like, okay, even 2 of those 3, even let's just say this: 4-13.
Right.
5-12, whatever it is.
Well, but
the defense
4-13, 5-12. Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer. I don't know. In that scenario, I don't see Mike McDaniel surviving, in my opinion. Like I said before, leave me your thoughts down below.
Is good. Kenneth Grant and Chop Robinson are good
because we're talking about premium positions, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you have your premier pass rusher, your premier interior defensive lineman, your number 1 receiver, your left tackle, well, then that means you're going into the draft with like some flexibility to take the best player. You know what I mean? And maybe then okay, like we've got a corner need. Is there a number 1 corner? We're freed up to take that guy because we've got these other positions taken care of. Yeah, I mean, it sucks for a fan base to have to swallow that. Like, I'm going to go into the season rooting for my team, but really this is more about like what it looks like in 27 and 28, but it sort of feels like that's where they're at.
All right, guys, let me know what you think of what you heard, and let me know your comments. Do you agree with me or do you agree with them? And like always, stay positive, stay on your guide, and go Dolphins.